Hi everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's episode, the Minnesota Forest #2 is going to get its last prune of the season. We just got our first snowfall where it stuck to the ground, maybe about an inch, inch and a half, two in some neighborhoods close by, just enough to cover the ground. Of course, the roads were clear, the grass, there was still some grass showing through, but some of the bonsai pots out in the garden showing a lot of snow. So I brought this one into the garage because as I was finalizing all the bonsai into my vegetable garden area, I wanted to do some work on this before I set it into that garden for the winter season, because this is heavy and it's going to be buried in snow and it's going to get colder, and so I wanted to get this done, and then we'll go snug it in there, the last big spot left. We'll put the rest of the trees that are waiting for me to get done with this in there, and then that vegetable garden is completely done for the season. So we should get this trim done today, put it in its spot, and we will be good to go. So it's been in the garage for a couple of hours. I have a couple of heaters, one right behind me, which is a little hot actually, and the one down in front of me to get the edge off a little bit because we're working in the garage, and I didn't want to see my breath and have my fingers get all numb. So we got a little bit of heat in the garage to hopefully make this a little bit more enjoyable. My vision for Minnesota Forest #2, and you can check back on the playlist for the Minnesota Forest #2, and you can see where this got started and kind of a little bit more on how we put it together. But I have this vision every time I go up to my cabin up north, and there's all the pine trees in the background and then all the deciduous trees in the foreground, specifically the birches, if there's any beech up there that I don't know about, and the poplar trees, quake and aspen. And when they bud out in the spring, I see from a distance that light green color that's up against the dark green evergreen trees behind it, and then the lighter trunks on those deciduous trees. I just love that look. So my initial attempt to recreate that was this boot tray homemade pot that I made, this wooden pot with the big boot tray in there, and we put together this Minnesota Forest. So we have a couple of maples, and these maples over here on the very edges, that's seedlings that flew again from the neighbor's yard. A lot of those have happened in my bonsai pots this year. We've got some Siberian elms up here in the front. We're going to trim some of those back. We have the original maple. This is one from the backyard from a couple years ago, and this one's probably, half an inch thick at the base now. Got a little bit of movement down here, which is kind of fun. We've got one branch over off to here, and then it splits up here in kind of an odd Y. But we're going to cut this thing back to this back branch that you can't see. We'll get rid of this vigor up here. This will be the main branch for next year, and we'll see what back buds for next year. And then back here is a couple of quake and aspens. Now there's like a twin trunk almost, and it splits down here. I've had a harder time with the quake and aspen getting to back bud and keep their nice light colored trunks, but these two are surviving pretty good. This is another quake and aspen up here with a little new young forest right here. It's kind of got some suckers that grew in, and then we have I think this is another maple up front, real nice and thick. This is a maple up front. Here's another Siberian elm. And then this might be one of these, I forget which one it is. One of these is the, it's either a quake and aspen, which I don't think so because it doesn't have the same appearance. But I also had a little tree sampling, I believe, of a cottonwood. But I don't know if that one's that either. I also have some ash in my backyard that I put into some of these forests, but I don't believe I put any ash in here. And then the ones I'm really going to work on today are the evergreen portions after we just do a little quick trimming. Because I want these to be kind of those trees in the distance, tall, old growth trees that have been around for a long time. So we're going to kind of thin them out. I thinned them out a little bit earlier in the year, but I want to thin them out so they look more tall and slender. Almost that alpine look where they're really tall and skinny. This one's really nice and tall right now. These two are tall. This is actually one tree that we split with a rock down in there to make it look like two trees. Nice and thick up here. Look at how thick this foliage is. So we're going to go ahead and do some trimming here and see what we can do to shorten this thing up and get ready to trim these right here. And these are the Dwarf Alberta Spruce right here. The Dwarf Alberta, we'll get to those last. Those will be ones I put away last. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna cut this one down to here. I got some buds on this one there. I got a whole bunch of buds down in here. We're gonna cut that one right there. So this guy right here, super big and chunky. Let's just be aggressive and let's go right down to here. Right there. And this will be the main leader at the moment. And we'll see what kind of back button we get on this thing in the new year. This one's kind of big and taking up all this room up here. So we're just gonna cut this one back to right there right now. This one we're gonna come back and trim that one, and trim that one. This back here. We're gonna cut this back to there. And it's got some, we had a big chop down here on this one. Got some leaves, the snow is getting all, this is good snowman snow right now, and snowball snow, because it's been in the garage slowly melting, because we're about 35 to 40 degrees in here. So this one I'm going to cut right down to here, because there's a whole bunch of buds here, here, and here. This one will cut down as well. This one will cut down as well. And this has got a little bit of a split here and a split here, and I'm trying to find where we've got some buds. There's a couple right there and there. So I can make this chop. Let's go ahead and just chop it right here, and we're going to hope that that one's going to do really well next year as well. We'll cut this one down here. So now this big maple has this new sucker growing right here, so if this doesn't do well, I'm going to go ahead and take the risk, and I'm going to cut it right above this little curved spot right here. So we have the tree coming up this way, then it kind of curves this way, and then right here. So we'll just do that for right now, and we'll see what grows back in the new year. And we got a branch coming back here, hard to see. This branch right here, and there's even one way down here. We're just going to leave those in and see what happens. That could become a new leader someday. So we got some real thick trunk and up to taper. This one right here, I got some buds right below my cut point here. Let's cut this one here. Let's do the same right there. All right, let's go to the left side of the forest here. I'm going to just cut this right here and make this a little shorter. A little shorter right here. We got some buds behind these that I'm cutting. All right, and I've got these this maple tree out here. Gonna go ahead and defoliate that. And this is where a seed fell into the pot, as is back here. We can just pull these off. So there we go. Maple, 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 and maple. And then this tree is connected with this tree. These were connected. This was a sucker up front here. And this is the main tree back here. We got a whole bunch of buds back here, so we're gonna go ahead and cut that one here. This tree right here has another sucker right there, so we're gonna go ahead and make this aggressive cut as well. We're gonna go ahead and come in right, kind of curls up here at the bottom, swoops up here, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and cut it way back down there. What do I do with this one now? Let's cut down, for sure, down to this major branch right there. Clean this up a little bit. In time, we'll get that and clean it up and let it heal. So the trees down front now are super low. We got one bigger one back here. We'll leave that high because it's a border tree. The ones behind it are bigger back here. These are a little bit longer up front here. Let's go down to this next node. And then we're just going to hope that those take off this year and we have a really nice looking forest. That was the easy part, I think, because now we got to focus on these Dwarf Albertas. And when I have this shoot out in the spring, if I do pinch back the Alberta, I've been told that they will back bud as well, and we'll get some good inner growth. So, but I just want to make sure that this tree is thinned out. We don't have any areas where there's 3 branches growing out instead of just one. We've got a really long leader right here. This one took off right here. You see that long one? So we can cut some of those up. We want this to be kind of that kind of narrow, tall tree. So we're going to make these all super compact. So I'm going to be moving back from back and front to get a look at these. I got this branch coming way up here that grows towards the camera. I'm just going to take that off. See, now this one right here is pretty big. Not sure what we're going to do with that one quite yet. I want to be able to see the trunks a little bit on these trees, but at the same time, keep in mind this is a tree that's in the background. So it's a tree that's kind of covered by all this beautiful tree forest. And so you might not see the line of a typical one single bonsai in a pot. We're not going to follow that pattern per se. So cleaned up the bottom here. I got these two younger ones that can grow and grow up hopefully a little bit. And that's what I'm going to try to let these trees too do, is grow more up and not out. So I am going to cut branches that are swooping more out. So let's look at your right, my left. We got down here, we got this really nice branch down here. So this branch has one out in front of you, one down here to the side, and then one in the back. I think I'm going to cut the back one off right now. Get rid of that. Make some more air in there. And there's a nice branch on this one growing this way. If we let more light in here, it'll grow up in the future. But do I want to keep this one here the way it is? I'm going to shorten it down a little bit. Cut it there. Right here there's 3 branches right here, but we'll cut the inside branch off for right now. And then this is even split into 3 up here, so there's a lot of division here, but I'm just going to cut this tip off. Actually, it's getting a little thick, and we'll just let that do whatever it's going to do. And now it's a branch that's down to 2 down here, and it gets real thick up here, so let's go ahead and cut that off. There's 2, like a T branch back here. So there, I've cleaned that out just a little bit. And so you notice this is bigger now than down here, but when we get this thinner and thinner and thinner up to these small ones, it's going to keep working its way up. So let's keep going up this tree branch right here. This one right here is a really nice thick branch, but it's thicker than the bottom ones, and that doesn't make much sense either, right? So we want to get rid of the girth of that. We want to get rid of the all that energy for next year. We want it to be a little bit more thinner branch than the stuff down below it. So that's a super thick branch, but we just cut it way back. But I still have these branches back here now. A lot of growth in here. Look at all this growth in here. All of this can become the new tree in here. So if I cut it way back to here, look at that. I've got all of this growth in here. And now if I take a peek at this closely right here, we've got a little bit of clutter down here with some extra branches, but I just cut those off, made them thinner. We got a branch right here that goes up right here, branch that goes out in front. So let's cut the one out in front off because they're growing from a similar spot. And then this long one out here, we'll cut it off. So now it just has this branch coming up here and a couple down here, and we'll just wait to see what happens in the course of the growing season next year. Now this section right here, that real thick branch I was talking about, is super thick, but there's a couple of nice new buds right here. There's actually three branches growing from the same area there, so we're going to cut that bottom one off. We got 2 left. Let's leave that for now. There's a branch growing behind it. I'm going to cut this one more shorter. Yeah, that's just still too thick and clunky. And then let's cut this back one off. And I've kind of got a division here, here, and here. And we'll see where those grow. Let's cut this one off because it's 3 branches. And we'll make it shorter. So let me step out to the front here with my glasses on and let's take a peek. Yeah, so we really, really thinned out that tree there. This one's coming right at us. Let's make it shorter for sure. Let's take the one that's coming right at us there out. There we go. This one here too is thicker, coming at us. These branches are growing back towards the tree. We'll cut that off. And let's just cut this whole thick branch off because look at all this growth down here. One of these can take up and kind of be this new leader area here. So I'll be okay with that next year. So this side's coming towards the end here. We got some more out here. This is just so thick in here. Some great stuff up here, but let's go ahead. Let's cut that one right off, give it some air. We have so many branches up here. And as you see where I just cut that one off, look at this one right here and this one right here. We have all kinds of branches. Since this is a strong branch over here, I'll cut this left side off. And we have this over here if we need it someday. And then we got all this up here. I'm going to cut this one off as well. I'm going to cut this one off as well. Cut this one shorter. There's 4 branches growing from right where my fingers are right here. 4 branches. Cut that off. I've got 2 left. We'll see which ones take off. I'll cut that one down. So we're getting our tall, slender tree look. Got one in the back here that I'll just cut off. You can't really see. So here's our long one. We're going to cut that down. Here's that branch right here. And we've got branches below it to take off next year, so we're just going to go ahead and cut it down even further because it is the bottom of the tree. It's got a little branch back here growing as well. Got some length back here I don't need. I think this one can just completely come off. So these are all hard to see on camera, but I'm going from 3 to 2. Like right here, there's 4, swirl of 4 right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's on a branch that's super thick on top. Look at this. 1 section, 2 section, 3, 4, and then up on top of those sections, 4, 3, 4, 4. We don't need all of these branches. I'm gonna cut this inside one off. We're gonna start there. It's a pretty thick branch. We got a lot of nice buds below all that. We're just gonna cut it off. So we're gonna cut off this whole section right here. Right there. And now we've got this slender look that we're looking for. Gonna work up the tree a little bit on this side. Again, we got 3s and 4s. There's a little growth in the back here. Let me come out to the front and take a peek at that. So I like it better, you know. There's some sloppiness now. We can see some of the wounds, but look, I can see the trunk here. I can see the trunk a little bit here now, and then I can see the trunk up here. They got this branch that we might have to trim off here. We got 2 or 3 competing right here. Let's get that one off, and let's get that one off, and let's get this one even off. There were 4 branches growing here, but now we have this one. Oops, we have the one behind it left right there. There you go. We got some branches here that are still clinging on here. Let's cut those off. So we got this one right here, this one over here, plus up here, and in the back. Let's just cut that one off. Then we got this super thick section up here. Some of these we're just going to be able to make shorter because they are so thick. And we want it to go to that point, but we don't have much smaller of a point to get to, do we? You see, this is too big. That's too much. All right. So now we have a real thin, tall tree. The only thing I can maybe do is show some more bark right up here. Let's do that. Let's even go up a little higher. Take that one off. Now we can see this tree in its glory. It's not quite as thick in here. More sunshine will come up in here and show off this tree. These are all 2s and 3s, and if you could see all the buds in here, super strong and ready to go strong next year. And then we still have a little bit of a thick bottom down here. Not too bad. If I get rid of this one, if I get rid of this one. Tree number 1. So with these trees, I want to make sure they're not touching. This one's got a branch that just gets over too far. We're going to cut the whole thing off. Alright, so this one's the long one. Let's come in here and see if we can shorten this one up. We can certainly shorten that there. We're going to shorten this one off as well. And then cut this one back. And cut this one back. Got this long branch here. We're going to cut that back. This is a big branch that comes out right at us, and it doesn't allow us to see much of that trunk. There's actually 2 branches right here. This super low one, I think we can cut that one right off. And then we're going to shorten this one right. So we thin that out a little bit. Now we've got the twin trunk here, the double trunk from 1 to 2. And we're gonna make this thin now. So it's kind of thin on this side already. We're just gonna have to thin out this top section, but we've got this side over here. So how are we gonna play with this one right here? I don't think I need any of this lower branch right here. I kept that for the original transplant just to make sure it was going to get some thickness maybe. We're going to cut that right off right there. We don't want that down there anymore. This is a nice old tree back in the background that's had lots of life happen to it. So those branches maybe wouldn't survive long term. We got this one down here too. I'm just cutting that off. Now it makes it a real true split here. You can see the split. Again, these trees in the foreground might cover that up more. Got the rock in there. You can't see the rock now because of our little branching here. Thin out some of the branches up here to give it more of a, we can see that tree and see that it's growing up tall. And then for more light to get in there, so many branches up top here. It is so thick up here. Try to do some every other patterns in here a little bit. I think we're done for the day. My camera turned off as we finished up the two trees, the twin trunk over here. My apologies for that. But you saw the work on the first two. You would have fast forwarded past that one anyway, right to the end. So here we go, the end. We've got the trees where we can see some more of the bark all the way up. They're slender, they're tall trees, and they're gonna hopefully showcase some of the buds on the branches next year as we get the new early buds growing out, and we'll have a kind of a slightly green background here. We almost could fit another tree up here. We've got our border tree over here, the big maple. All of the deciduous trees are cut down to a low size. We'll see how they shoot up in the coming years. Super exciting. So we have to get this out into the vegetable garden area. So this one is all done. But before we do that, quick little update on the cabin cold frame and the garage cold frame. I've been using my GoV thermometer system, my app, to check my GoV thermometers. The garage cold frame hovering around the low 40s now, and being very, very consistent. I don't believe the heat's gone on too much on either of the cold frames, perhaps the cabin one. That one's maintaining some good temperatures as well. So the heaters are working. I've gone out there to check the fans. They're working. The lights are on in the garage cold frame for parts of the day. So everything is really, really good. Oh, incidentally, when I checked the cabin cold frame today, I was getting closer to the cabin and I heard this high-pitched rattling sound. And one of the branches from the big maple I stuffed into the cold frame recently was stuck in the fan blade. So I got some unnatural pruning from a fan, but those branches will be trimmed next year anyway, so not a big loss. Another reason to check your trees often, whether it's a critter, whether it's the weather, whether the heat didn't go on, the fan's not working, the lights aren't on. Check those trees all throughout the winter. Can't stress that enough. Check them to see if they're watered. Pretty early in the winter, not terribly cold, so it doesn't dry out very fast this time of year. Another project I'm working on, it's a winter project that I started here in the fall, is I got a piece of grape wood, kind of a trunk that was hollowed out from a big old grapevine branch trunk thing from my brother. He didn't remember exactly what it was, what exact kind of wood it is. Really cool, gnarly, all twisted up kind of thing. And I'm putting some glaze on that. I might make that an accent pot. And then I also got a slab of wood from the redwood forest from our family trip up there this past summer. That video's coming up this winter, but I started putting some glaze over this slab of redwood tree so I can put it as a bonsai stand. So let's take a peek at how that project is coming along. I'm about midway through a couple of projects that I've been pretty excited about, and so I thought I'd show you before I finish so we can get kind of the process of what I was thinking. I've got some what my brother gave to me as a gift a season ago or so, and he thinks it's some grape wood, some kind of big old grapevine wood. It's got some really cool textures inside. It's a little bit flimsy where I think it'd be easily broken. It's a really dried out piece of wood, and what I've done is I've gone ahead and put a glaze over it. I've got this super glaze here. You mix the two parts equally and you get the nice shellac layer over anything. You're going to put it on a picnic table, or in this case right here, this piece of grape wood. So what I'm doing is I put 2 layers on this side. I might put one more layer on, but I think we're pretty good. So what I think I'm going to do instead is I'm going to make sure that all the edges are got right up to here. So today I'm going to put some of the epoxy of this glaze over it. So like this side is done pretty good right up to the edge. This side wasn't quite to the edge. So what my plan is I protected this outside and it's shiny. Not quite as shiny in this section, but we got a lot of shine here and thickness here. Again, I might put one more coat here, but for this coat, we're going to put it here. And then when this is dry, I'm going to put my Flex Seal rubber sealant in here so the water won't destroy this wood. So I'll have the protection layer out here. I'll have the Flex Seal in here. I'll drill a hole right at this bottom part here, and maybe in here and somewhere in here. So I have 3 drainage holes, and this will become kind of an accent pot. I probably won't put bonsai in here, but maybe some accent plants that will go near my bonsai in my garden. So I just love the texture of the wood and the angles and twists and gnarls. Reminds me of a good old maybe bonsai tree someday. So it's just going to be kind of an accent piece in my garden. So I just want to protect it so it lasts forever, especially outside with the elements. So we're going to go ahead and put that here. The second part of my project is my piece of wood that I picked up at a gift shop. I went to the old tourist trap gift shop, and when we were in the redwood forests this past summer, I picked this up as a piece of wood for possibly a bonsai stand. Now, I'm going to have some footage from that trip on a future episode of Dave's Bonsai here, but I've got 2 layers right here on this piece of wood. And so you've got all this really nice grain in here. It's real dark, got some nice polish and shine to the edges in most places. But there's a couple places that didn't quite take yet. I missed a spot right there. There's some lighter spots in here. So I'm going to take the fine brush today, and I'm just going to get the spots that aren't covered yet. The rest I like. It's nice and got a good sheen to it. You can see the color of this on top. And this is the part where they must have cut off a little bit, so it's a little less realistic here. But we'll be able to use this as a bonsai table to put my bonsai trees on. So we're going to go ahead and mix some of this up, and then we're going to go ahead and get some of this applied here for the next level. I got some top here. I have some left over, so I'm just going to go ahead, and since we have it up on the block, we're just going to do one more layer on top. And when you put a nice thick layer on top, the gravity of it all just kind of pulls it down and smooths it all out and gives you that final layer. And there we have it. So the work on the redwood is done. The work on the grapevine is done. We're going to let these dry. We'll come back and we'll do some more touch-ups on a different day, and maybe get some of the Flex Seal in the other one soon. It is time to take Minnesota Forest number 2 and put it now in its final resting spot for the winter outside in the vegetable garden, so then I can squeeze in those final trees that are sitting on the benches, because they got to get down lower to the ground as our temperatures start to get colder now, into the teens in the next week or two at night, a couple of nights anyway, but then daytime temps going from the 30s to even a couple of low 40s, so we're still on that roller coaster pattern. We want our trees down in the ground. We got some snow on there now for some insulation. But let's get this in the vegetable garden, we'll get those other trees in there, and we'll be ready to go for the winter. In the meantime, take care of you, take care of your bonsai, and we'll catch you on the next one. All right.